Welcome to, well, I suppose we'll call it a test flight, really, as my first ever go in the X-Craft's freeware Embraer. You get both the bigger 195 in the package, but I'll take the smaller 175 today, which certainly looks nice enough from out here anyway. And first thoughts inside are, what the hell is that? The yoke. That just looks awful. Not the modelling of the plane or anything, that's great. The actual shape of it. It's like the handlebars on a bike. It's like, just no. Wondering, does this have a cabin? That was the hinge. Try using the doorknob as. Yes, I'll explore that some other time. Right then. So we're just going to have a short hop from here at Whanuapai to Auckland. That's only a few miles, and both of them have much bigger runways than this thing will need, so it should be easy enough. Not going to bother with instruments, autopilots, and anything really. I'm just going to hand fly it and see what it feels like, and that's the plan. As it has a modern glass cockpit, I have my doubts that this will ever become a favourite aircraft of mine, but it definitely won't if it doesn't fly nicely by hand. Yeah, because if I do start using this occasionally, then it will be treated like a big GA aircraft anyway, and sometimes hand flown into little grass strips and things like that. So yeah, just thinking both of these airports that we're going visiting today, they're originally made by Kiwi the Iwick. Don't suppose you ever watch my videos, but just in case, hope you're well, Aaron. Yeah, sadly he disappeared from making stuff for X-Plane a few years ago, but, well, such is life, people come and go, don't they? But yeah, with this one and Auckland as well, there's two very nice airports he left us with. And he's a nice guy too. Yeah, we spoke a couple of times on the Messenger at the Org Forum, and he's been more than happy for, to let me borrow a few of his bits. NZOH, also being a military base, they obviously had the same blueprints and plans in real life, and there are hangars there which are exact copies of the ones here. And he was nice enough to say, yeah, of course you can use my hangars at your Ohakia scenery. That was nice of him, and I did use them. I think there's something from here at Wigram as well, if I remember correctly. Anyway, we've gone with 2 stages of flap because I've no idea, and big handful of throttle and see what happens. No configuration warning bells and buzzers going off, which is a little bit of a surprise, but a nice surprise. And we're up. Yeah, it's making nice enough noises, feels quite stable, so yeah, no problems with the first few seconds of the flight anyway. Yes. Yeah, obviously I wish it had old school gauges with needles on them, as they are easier to read, but yeah, but it hasn't. So yeah, what I mean by that is for the airspeed, for instance. you've got to look at the display and focus your vision on the correct spot and then read a number from it. With the steam gauge, you very quickly get used to where all the airspeed numbers are on the dial, and then you know, for instance, if your climb speed, the needle should be pointing at the 7 o'clock position or whatever it may be on a particular aircraft. And you then don't really need to concentrate on the ASI anymore. Just seeing it out of your peripheral vision, that's enough to know if the needle is in roughly the right place. And if it's not, and instead of 7 it's moving towards 6 o'clock or 8 o'clock, that's when your brain triggers a little warning of it being wrong, and then you look at it to rectify the speed. And with a glass cockpit like this, if you want to hand fly it and maintain a specific speed, you constantly need to be looking and concentrating on the right area to focus and read the number off the screen. It's just more work for your brain to do. Then again, I suppose aircraft like this, when they're in service, they don't get hand flown like a general aviation plane. So the computers are looking after your speed and things like that. So the flying skills of non-automated flight, they're not quite as important. And let's be honest, a real life flight, this would be on autopilot now. And the pilot flying, he'd be sitting back wondering if he might get a promotion soon to a plane with a proper yoke instead of a bicycle handlebar. I know it's not the first to do something like this. The Trident used to have the same thing with a similar bicycle handlebar yoke. There's probably others as well, but it just looks wrong. I mean, try this right now while you're watching. If you hold out your arms where the yoke would be in front of you if you were sat in the cockpit. Now do so with your palms facing each other, and then move your arms backwards and forwards as though you were pulling and pushing on the yoke. Now do exactly the same thing again, but with your palms now facing the floor. Now palms inward, you'll notice that your elbows and forearms are next to and quite possibly touching the side of your body. Palms down, your elbows are moving away from your body. Now here's what I'm thinking, that it's not something you actively think about. Like walking, for instance. Nobody is actively calculating how to make the subtle changes in their centre of gravity to fall forwards at a controlled rate. You do that totally subconsciously when you're walking. And in the same subconscious way, you don't know that you're doing it, but with a more vertical grip, like a 737 style yoke for instance, you can adjust the pressure of your arms against your rib cage, so your upper body then becomes a bit like a semi-engaged friction lock for your arms. Dig your elbows in even more, and the harder it becomes to move your arms. So your whole upper body is then playing a part in controlling the yoke and stopping a movement that you make at the exact point where you want to stop it. So with palms down, you only have your arms, and moving the yoke from point A to point B, that's going to be a slightly less accurate way of doing it, and without the body friction lock of your elbows against your ribs. There's also going to be more work to dampen out the bumps and jolts or any feedback that you're getting from the yoke. So not only does the handlebar style look truly dreadful, I'm convinced that ergonomically it's not as good of a design as, say, the vertical grips on things like 737, 747, or the Airbus style side stick, where the arm of your seat now becomes your friction lock instead. Now, okay, I'll be honest, I am thinking out loud here, so perhaps there is a valid reason why the yoke looks like this, but I certainly can't think of one. And as I say, with it isolating your arms more from the rest of your body, I can't think of a good reason, but I can definitely think of reasons why it's a bad idea. Not that I'm ever going to be in a position to buy an airliner, but that might be enough to put me off Embraer. Anyway, I'll just sort out our speed, which is a complete guess obviously, as I don't know what it should be at the moment. As I said, this is just a how does it handle kind of test flight to see whether I'm going to bother to look at it more deeply with systems and procedures. Not that I'm ever going to fly it by the book, no matter what happens. I can see why people do enjoy simulating real-world operations perfectly. That's just not my kind of fun that I have with X-Plane. Yeah, chucking things around in the skies in ways where I'd probably get my licence taken off me and maybe even arrested for breaking that many aviation laws. Yeah, that's more my kind of fun.
300.
Yeah, well, it's looking okay. Still flying okay. So let's see if we can land it. Not too much wind today, which is fortunate, so we're not getting blown around. So that's alright.
40, 30, 20, 10.
A bit late on the flare, I think, and that nose seemed to come down quite a long distance, as if it was maybe a bit too much of a nose high attitude, possibly needed a little bit more approach speed. Don't know.
100.
Actually, no, maybe not. It's not really massively nose high or anything, is it? A little bounce. Yes, I did need to start the flare slightly earlier, didn't I? But yeah, I don't think the nose was massively high or anything after all, was it? So yeah, I'm happy enough with that for a first ever attempt. By an idiot who's never flown one of these before. Not the smoothest landing ever, but I'm sure that will be well within the acceptable range where we wouldn't need a special visit out to the stand by assorted maintenance personnel. Yeah, so what do I think? Well, firstly, it's great of X-Crafts to be giving away what was formerly a payware aircraft. I know their current X-Plane 12 E-Jets have more and better simulated systems, etc. So the current payware stuff is certainly a step up from this. But what we do have here, yeah, it's lovely. Apart from the shape of the yoke. Although that can be turned off so you can't see it, which I found out when I was setting up track IR before I started the recording. And hiding the yoke will certainly happen in any future flights. Because I'm going to say, yeah, highly likely I will give this another go. I mean, sometimes some aircraft, well, for me at least, you get the feeling that you've just moved a plane from one location to the other, and that's kind of all that there is. With others, you land and think, I enjoyed that flight. With this one, yeah, that was quite good fun. With it being a small regional kind of jet, there's plenty of places to take it to in New Zealand, where I do most of my sim flying. And a number of smaller grass strip type of places too, which might be big enough to operate this from. As obviously SimWorld has slightly different rules to the real world, so I'm sure nobody would fly it from a rural airstrip with a dirt runway, but yeah, we can do that in X-Plane. And I'm sure I will. Cool. Yeah, so there we go then. I'm sure I don't need to tell you that you can get this from the xplane.org forum. I'm sure a lot of you probably already have got it and have already had a few flights in it, but well, that's my little thoughts on it anyway. Right, I shall see you again soon. Bye.